Wait, get that. No, go away now. No, no more alternate versions. No more doubles. Get away now. Stop it. No, don't touch that. An addition. Just back your face up. Look out. Get away. Get away. Ah!
Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of The Toy Shelf. I'm your host Mitch Live, and I collect action figures. And we are here with the second installment of our Haunted Halloween Special! And this week we are looking at one of the most iconic horror movie villains of all time, Freddy Krueger. So this is Freddy Krueger's backstory in a nutshell. Freddy Krueger is the bastard son of 100 rapists who, through his childhood and extreme trauma, developed psychopathic tendencies and eventually became a serial child murderer who murders his wife in front of his kid and then gets arrested. But due to a loophole in the legal system, he gets off scot-free. So the townsfolk rally together to form a lynch mob and deliver vigilante justice. So he goes into a barn or something, which they burn down with him inside it. And then his spirit lives on as some evil entity that haunts the dreams of his victims. And that's where Freddy's story begins. And it's also where it stops making any sort of logical sense. The movie that started it all was a cult classic, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And in this movie, Freddy is the stuff that nightmares are made of. Or rather, nightmares are the stuff that Freddy is made of. The creepiest thing about this guy is that he was based on an actual story where a bunch of people mysteriously died in their sleep and no one knew why. And it's one of those movies that did a great job of preying on a very common fear, which is nightmares. I bet there were a lot of children afraid to go to bed after watching this movie. And it spawned 6 other abominations and a crossover with another classic horror movie villain, but that's an episode for another day. And they must have made these movies back when nobody gave a shit about what was canon or sticking to the rules that they established in any of the previous films. Because sometimes Freddy is able to come into reality. Sometimes Freddy is able to possess people. Sometimes he's a baby. Sometimes not believing in him is enough to defeat him. Sometimes you have to physically decapitate the reincarnated body of Freddy. And sometimes you just gotta slip him the tongue. And then seemingly, none of those things even do because he keeps coming back in every movie. But the one thing that is consistent across all of the films, or at least most of the films, is his personality. He's creepy yet quirky. He's got a twisted sense of humor, a sadistic love of torturing his victims, and he really likes murdering people. Freddy is basically the embodiment of fear itself, because it's your own fear and belief in Freddy that gives him the ability to attack you in your dreams. And if you die in your dreams, you die in real life. There are a lot of Freddy Krueger figures from a lot of different manufacturers, including a McFarlane Toys Freddy, who is from the Movie Maniac series that we looked at in our Edward Scissorhands episode. And there are even a bunch of figures by NECA Toys, who is the maker of our Freddy today. This is Freddy from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, as you can tell by the box and some of the accessories that he comes with. He was definitely not the figure to start my horror movie collection, but you just can't have a horror movie figure collection and not include Freddy Krueger. And I tried to be very picky when selecting my Freddy figure. I came across 100 different Freddy figures 100 different times, but this is the one that really sold me. I liked this one the best. So this box comes with one of these flappy open lids, and you can see inside they got a nice picture of Freddy. He comes with a couple alternate heads. Mostly they're just different facial expressions. One of them, it'll be really hard to tell, but has a little chunk missing out of his skull. He also comes with this flame piece, which connects magnetically to his back, they say. Let's see, I've never tried before. Oh, yeah, it just stays magnetically. Pretty shitty magnet. So this flame piece that sticks to his back is to recreate this one very specific shot near the end of Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And he also comes with these 2 creepy-ass, human-faced Rottweilers. And they are from one of the nightmare sequences of one of his victims. The other thing he comes with is this non-gloved Freddy hand where he still has his blades coming out of his fingers. And if you have a look at the back of the box here, you'll see some pictures of the couple Rottweilers there and Freddy with his alternate heads. And they're in a bus, which is a nod to some other Nightmare sequence where they drive a bus off a cliff and into hell or some shit. And as you can see on the front, I paid $40 for this figure, new on a shelf, and that's Canadian dollars, if that seems expensive to any of our international viewers. Now, Freddy costumes, and specifically his little bladed glove hand, is something I've seen in Halloween stores every year since I was born. I'm sure it's just a matter of time before we get another Freddy prequel, or sequel, or spin-off, or reboot, or see him verse some other popular horror movie character. But he definitely isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And neither are we. In fact, tune in next week for another classic horror movie figure review. And as usual, if you'd like to purchase your own Freddy Krueger by NECA Toys, there will be links in the description below. And it really helps out our channel. So does clicking the subscribe button. Thanks for sticking with us, and remember, you're never too old to play with toys. Subscribe! Sometimes you have to physically decapitate. Sometimes you have to physically decapitate. Decapitate. I'm practicing the word incorrectly now. I'm gonna highlight this word and make the font like 30 times bigger. Decapitate.